What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. This is my first deck profile for the black and white through Cosmic Eclipse expanded format, and we're going to be talking about Ultra Necrozma Garbodor today. But just first, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, PotonStore.com. I'm running a giveaway on my Twitter right now with them, and we're giving away 100 Cosmic Eclipse codes, so go check that out. And also flipsidegaming.com, where I write weekly articles, and you can use code CELIO for 10% off at Flipside and for 5% off over at PotonStore.com. So Ultra Necrozma Garbodor, it's all focused around this new non-GX Ultra Necrozma we got in Cosmic Eclipse. I played this deck for a couple hours on stream last night, so if you want to check out that VOD. Honestly, most of my opponents scooped to me, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get any of that gameplay up on the channel, but I will get gameplay in general with this card up pretty soon. So looking at Ultra Necrozma, 110 HP, Ultra Beast. Its ability is Ultra Burst. This Pokemon can't attack unless your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. So that's bad. We don't like that ability. Then its attack, Luster of Downfall, Psychic Metal, 170. Discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. The attack is just overpowered by all means, but it's balanced by its ability, Ultra Burst, that doesn't allow it to attack unless your opponent is at 2 prize cards or less. So the name of the game here is attacking with Ultra Necrozma the entire game. So you need to turn off this ability, Ultra Burst. We will be doing so with Garbodor Garbotoxin, which, if you aren't familiar with Garbodor, if you're new to expanded format, if this Pokemon has a tool card attached to it, each Pokemon in play, each player's hand, and each player's discard pile has no abilities. And we're also using Silent Lab. Each basic Pokemon in play, hand, discard pile has no abilities. So Ultra Necrozma will be able to attack as early as turn 1 as long as you have a Silent Lab. And then throughout the game, you can use either Silent Lab or Garbotoxin. So we are going to be using Double Dragon Energy to attack with Ultra Necrozma, since it is Dragon type, and it only needs 2 energy to attack. So if you go second, you can just start swinging with Luster Downfall for 1 energy on your first turn. And in addition to the really high damage output, it also discards an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. So when you're not one-shotting, you're discarding an energy as well, as long as they have energy attached. Excuse me. So not only does it do a lot of damage, but it also has some disruption in it. And naturally, since we are trying to turn off abilities for ourselves, like it benefits us, we are also a pretty disruptive deck because we're trying to shut down abilities the whole game. So I'm running 4 Trubbish, 1 of the Garbage Collection, and 1 of the Acid Spray. The Acid Spray has 70 HP, so sometimes, depending on what you're playing against, maybe you search out the 70 HP if it's harder for your opponent to snipe. Or if you need to, like, stall for a turn with the Acid Spray. Garbage Collection is usually pretty good, though. And then we have 2 Garbodor Garbotoxin, which I already spoke about, and then 2 Garbodor Trashalanche. I do think this could go down to just 1 Trashalanche, but Trashalanche, this attack does 20 damage for each item card in your opponent's discard pile. I want to have that attack available whenever it comes up. Because the opponent might not be taking it into consideration because we're just trying to attack with Ultra Necrozma the whole time, and Trashalanche is really, really powerful. So that's it for Pokemon, just 4 Garbodor and 4 Ultra Necrozma. So we also only have 6 energy, so most of this deck, an overwhelming amount of this deck is trainers. I would like to start with the supporters, just because in Expanded a lot of times you'll see lower counts of each supporter, but I'm actually playing 4 Guzma Hala just because this card is so important to the deck. It pretty much gets us everything we want. So search your deck for a Stadium card, and when you play this card, if you discard 2 other cards from your hand, you may also search for a tool card and a special energy. Excuse me. So, let's say you start with Trubbish, you bench Ultra Necrozma, you play Guzma Hala. You can search out your Float Stone, your Silent Lab, and your Double Dragon Energy, all with just this one card. Float the Trub, retreat into Necrozma, attach Double Dragon, play down Silent Lab to turn off Ultra Burst, and you're swinging already. So yeah, Guzma Hala is really, really good. And then I'm also playing 4 Sycamore just because discard your hand, draw 7 is a great supporter. And if you don't start out with Guzma Hala, you want to start out with Sycamore to try to just draw into those cards naturally. So from there, we'll just go from the top. I just wanted to highlight those 2 supporters since we are playing 4 of each, and that's kind of rare and expanded. I also do want to note that my testing with this deck is still in preliminary stages. So I just started testing the deck last night. I built it before class, and then I just came home and started playing it on stream. The deck ran really, really well. The changes I made were I took out the 2 Shrine of Punishments I had and then put in the 4th Silent Lab and the 4th Float Stone. And I believe that those are the only changes I made from my initial list. So let's just go down the line on the items. We have 1 Computer Search, discard 2 to search for any card. Dowsing Machine would be great in this deck to get like the 1 Enhanced Hammer, the 1 Special Charge, the 1 Rescue Stretcher, but I want this deck to just focus on running as consistently as it can and just putting out the damage, so I am playing Computer Search at the moment. 1 Enhanced Hammer, discard a special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This is just so brutal. Versus Guardian in testing last night, I used it, so I got rid of their Wonder Energy and then got rid of a basic energy with Luster of Downfall, and out of nowhere they were down 2 energy. Versus Mewtwo decks, you can Enhanced Hammer one of their Prisms and then Luster their other Prism away, and then also replace their Stadium, and then they're just, you kind of dismantle their whole setup. So the one of Enhanced Hammer is really, really great. I am considering maybe like a Faba or a Flare Grunt, like a supporter energy removal as well. Because when you're not one-shotting things, and I don't think reaching for one-shots is going to be the move here, just removing multiple energy in one turn is really, really devastating when they're accounting for losing 1 energy and then they lose 2 instead. 1 Field Blower, this can help with a multitude of things. If your opponent has a Chaotic Swell down, you can Field Blower that away, then put down your lab. If your opponent has a Fighting Fury belt, but you'll knock them out without the belt on, you can blower their belt. If you need extra items in the discard pile for your Trashalanche, you can... excuse me. You can Field Blower away some tools, so your Trashalanche does more damage. Just a nice utility card to have. Our Pokemon Search is 4 Treasure and 3 Nest Ball, so Treasure can get any of our 12 Pokemon, and then Nest Ball can get 8 of them. So our Search is just really, really nice in this deck. The 1 Rescue Stretcher and the 1 Special Charge, since 5 of our 6 energy are Special Charge is nice to have, and then we have 1 real main attacker. So if all 4 of these go down, we want to Rescue Stretcher. And I'm playing 4 Trainers Mail. Trainers Mail is just a very nice consistency card and expanded. I like it better than Acrobite because you don't have to get rid of a resource, but the trade-off is you can only get a trainer with this, not any card like you can with Acrobite. I'll skip the Versus Seeker for now, and I'll just talk about it with the supporters. So for stadiums, I only have 1 stadium. It's 4 copies of Silent Lab. Like I said, I was playing Shrine of Punishments, but for now, I just have the Silent Lab because it's what's consistent for the deck. The Shrine of Punishments are really good versus Zoroark GX. So you go Luster Downfall with a band for 200, and then the Shrine ticks for 210. But I'll talk about the Zoroark matchup in just a second, and why I don't think it's completely necessary to have the Shrine. And then for tools, of course, we have the 4 Float Stones, because that's part of our engine of getting Ultra Necrozma to attack. And 2 Choice Band. The Choice Band are kind of filler for now. The extra damage can be nice versus like tag teams that are healing with Malolana. or decks that might be healing in other ways, like Ral Egg. Even if decks are throwing in some great pots, just the extra burst of damage can be nice. It's also very good with Trashalanche, especially if your opponent wasn't accounting for Trashalanche in the first place, and then you're coming in with a banded Garbodor, and it does a lot of damage. So the supporters, we are playing 13 supporters, and I have 3 Versus Seekers. The one of utility supporters we've got going on are 1 Guzma and then 1 Lysandre, so we have 2 outs to Gust. And then I have 1 Pokemon Ranger. This helps versus ADP's GX attack. If they use Altered Creation and you Ranger, Altered Creation's effect goes away, so they aren't doing more damage and taking more prize cards. And it also goes through Chaos Wheel, which is an attack on both Giratina EX from Ancient Origins, and it's also on Mismagius, and I want to say Mismagius is from Burning Shadows or Crimson Invasion. They both have Chaos Wheel, which is what really matters. And Chaos Wheel says your opponent cannot play down any special energy, tool cards, or stadiums from their hand next turn. So Ranger helps against ADP, and it also helps against any Tina or Mismagius, pretty much any Chaos Wheel. Could also help against Toad. Oh, and Jolteon EX too. I think I actually beat 2 Pika ROMs on Expanded last night on the ladder, and I just rangered and then attacked their Jolteon with 170. And then, of course, 2N, because N is a great card, and we want to have some way to manipulate our opponent's hand. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the game, the beginning of the video, I do have the 4 Guzma Hala and the 4 Professor Sycamore. Those are like our consistency engine, and we want to have 4 of each of those because they're important to start the game. It's important to start the game with one of them. And then for our energy, we've got the 4 Double Dragon, the 1 Unit, and the 1 Psychic. The 1 Psychic is kind of there for niche scenarios where maybe our opponent Chaos Wheeled and we can't get the Ranger, and we have Psychic Energy Garbodor to swing with, right? Or a Psychic Energy, attaching it on a lull turn. Like if your opponent didn't knock out your Ultra Necrozma, you have your Double Dragon active on Ultra Necrozma, and you have a Trubbish on the bench. It's much safer to attach a Psychic Energy to a bench Pokemon than it is a Unit Energy, because the Unit Energy can be Fobbed or Enhanced Hammered, while the Psychic Energy cannot. So that's another reason why I have the Psychic Energy in there. And then of course the Unit Energy can count towards the Luster of Downfall, or it can count towards the Trashalanche. And you can only play 4 Double Dragons, so you have to throw a couple other energy in there, and also Garbodor can't use Double Dragon, so you could use Unit and Psychic to swing with a Luster of Downfall, but usually they're just outs to swinging with Trashalanche. But you do have the Unit there just in case. Also, the Unit is searchable by Guzma Hala, so you can guarantee your energy when you're swinging with Garbodor. Your only way to search out the basic Psychic is with Computer Search. So I did say I would mention the Zoroark matchup real quick. So if you're familiar with Drampagarb and how the Drampagarb versus Zoroark matchup went, you would establish your Garbotoxin and your opponent down to however many prize cards they have, and then you would use Drampa's Righteous Edge to swing 20 and discard their DCE. Well, here you're doing Garbotoxin, then N, and then Luster of Downfall 170 and discarding their DCE. So it's kind of like you're doing the same thing Drampa did, except you're swinging for 150 more damage, but you're still removing their DCE. So what I'm trying to say is I think it'll be fine most of the time to not one-shot the Zoroark if they like kind of swung through a couple Ultra Necrozmas early. They're down to like 3 prize cards, and you just go Toxin and swing for 170, get rid of their energy. Even if they have a backup energy on the bench, you can hammer it. So I do think that will still be fine, but if I test it further and I end up losing because I'm not one-shotting Zoroarks, then a Shrine or 2 could be added. But you do need the Choice Band and the Shrine for that scenario to hit the 210. So I think this deck is really, really aggressive, and it's consistent and it's strong, but it is very vulnerable. So your whole game plan is on the board. Like, everybody knows you're capping at 200, right? Like, or 170 if you don't have the choice band. You have to use special energies, or at least in most builds will be using special energies. So it's very easy for stall or control decks to take advantage of this kind of deck, because it's very straightforward. Your game plan's focused around special energies, which are easy to control. Your main attacker is a basic Pokemon that has a capped damage output. So it's very, very vulnerable to control and stall strategies, which I do think we will be seeing in the upcoming expanded format of Black and White through Cosmic Eclipse. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm sure people will have problems with how vulnerable the deck is, but it's incredibly strong, and I do think it'll be very popular. It's going to get a lot of hype between now and Dallas regionals, but I do think it already has some hype behind it already. So I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile on Ultra Necrozma Garbodor for the expanded format. Be sure to check out flipsidegaming.com and potownstore.com. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.